Kelpieone here on Stainedglasscuts. Building mobiles is all about balance. In this video, I'll show you how to find the balancing point and several ways to create a hook at that location. No matter how many arms your mobile has, you'll need to determine the balancing point of each arm. I'll be using loops and metal rods. I have a video on how to create loops if you need it. Okay, how to achieve balance. In one method, you can create an arm like I have here, and you can place the object that you want in your mobile on one end. And as you can see, we're definitely not in balance. And then you can add weight to the other end until you achieve balance. We're getting there. A couple more, and I think we've got it. Now this method was used historically in hardware stores to measure bulk nails. And what the heck happened to seesaws? But I digress. Another approach to finding the balance point would be to calculate the balance point using a formula for a class 1 lever. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Now here's an easy trial and error method of finding the balance point and securing a swivel at that location. I used it in the very first mobile I made. It does require the use of materials you can solder for both the arms and the swivel. Starting at the bottom of your mobile, take your swivel and slide it onto your first mobile arm. Move it along the arm until you achieve balance. Then carefully solder it in place and onto your next arm. Start at the bottom and work your way up the mobile. Okay, easy enough. What if your arms or swivels can't be soldered or you don't want to use solder? The solution to this is to put a loop in your arm at the balance point. If the weight is the same on both ends, you can just put your loops in the middle. This is a design prototype I'm working on. I'm calling Crack the Whip. The weight on the end of each arm will be the same, so all the in-between loops can be in the middle. Just want to remind you that when making a mobile, metal coat hangers are great for figuring things out, and you can often get them for the asking at your local dry cleaners. But what if you want to use an in-between loop and your pieces all weigh differently? Putting a loop in the middle isn't going to work. I first determined the length of the hanging arm I wanted. In this case, 10 inches from center to center of my end loops. I then added 3.5 inches to that length to account for the loops I made. A 7mm diameter loop on each end, and a 10mm diameter loop in between at my balance point. So I cut my rod to 13.5 inches, put the 7mm end loops on, hung my glass pieces, determined my balance point, marked it, and put a 10mm loop at the balance point mark. So this should balance, right? No, that's because the loop shifted the balance point by taking too much arm from the short arm and not enough from the long arm. It doesn't achieve balance. Okay, time for some math. The difference in weights on the ends of your mobile arms and the size of the loop you're going to put in between will move your balance point. I'm going to run through the math here, and if you'd rather not, skip this section. I have a cheater method at the end. So, starting again with the same rod length, I've already found my balance point. I've measured the distance between the centers of the end loops. It's 11 3/8 inches, not 10, because I still have the loop in between to make. I then measured the distance from the balance point down the longest arm to the center of its end loop, and that's 6 5/8 inches. I calculated the percentage that the long arm represents of the total distance between the end loops by dividing the larger number into the smaller number. After converting to decimal, it's 6.625 divided by 11.375, which equals 0.582418. Stay with me here. I then multiplied 1.5 inches by that result. 1.5 inches is the amount of rod consumed in making a 10 millimeter loop using 3 32nd inch diameter rod. The result is almost exactly 7/8 of an inch. I'll now measure 7/8 of an inch from the balance point towards the end of the long arm and make a mark. And then measure 6/8 of an inch, which is half of 1.5, in the opposite direction from the mark I just made, and make a mark. This will be the center of my loop. This was the original balance point, and this is now the center of my loop. As you can see, this has moved our original balance point down the long side of the arm a whopping 1/8 of an inch. So I've made my loop, hung the glass, and we've achieved balance. But I promised a cheater method. Going back to the original arm where we put the loop at the balance point, I'm going to take my bail making pliers, insert it into the loop, and rotate the arm up I want to be shorter, shift my grip, and rotate the other arm down, and in effect we can adjust and move the balance point to achieve balance. Hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching. Cheers!